this is our submission for the NeuroTechX Open Challenge. So this project began because we felt the need for objective tools that would help empower users. For that to work, the tools need to be accessible, they need to be able to be tested often, and you need to be able to test over a long period of time.
We decided to use the Muse because it's already been tested for efficacy.
We got it as a gift from Neurotechnology, and so
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it really got us started as soon as possible.
We decided to create an app because it allows for testing anywhere, at any time.
And we figured computation in the phone is pretty effective, so as long as it's just data analysis and it's not machine learning based, you'll be fine.
We found a paper by
Mazaharian.
Yes. That was 2014. The correlation with alpha suppression and beta suppression with ADHD, and we decided to go that route.
Current hypothesis of the psychopathology of ADD, ADHD is functional connectivity. So the idea being that different parts of the brain will develop with a weaker connection of different regions, and so in terms of actual functioning and shifting gears with something like the flanker test, you would have miscommunications or delays in communications, and so because of that you lead to all these inattentive symptoms of just the brain has a harder time coming together to do a specific task. And so that's where you'd see alpha suppression and beta suppression, which are signals for a certain task to be stopped and a new task to be started together. Because we see a smaller suppression signal, we would also see attention issues in consequence.
It's never going to be perfect, because there's always some people that show signs of ADHD or ADD that have actually normal brain activity. You never know. But yeah, this was the best.
I'd say I'm normal. Tell me I'm normal.
Neurotypical.
First off, it's an experiment with user-centric neuroscience, trying to figure out what would neurotech look like if it was for empowerment of the individual.
Yeah, you can use this in conjunction with behavioral assessments.
From what we've seen, those assessments are the main point of diagnosis.
Yeah, and it's very up to what the clinician thinks. The problem with subjective measures is that they're impacted and influenced by cultural and social norm.
This is not a clinical device, and it should not be used for any medical or clinical decision, including diagnosis or assessment. Right now it is just an exploration of the topic and a submission to a national competition.
I'm Carol.
Hi, I'm Patrick. So together we were doing an Android app, combining Android and Muse to let people look at indicators of their attention state and track these over time. Yeah, so this is the device we're using. It can also, there's ways you can connect it to your phone and get the data from it in real time.
So my favorite part of this project is that I get to see my brain activities by doing the flanker test. I learned a lot, so I really enjoyed working on this project.
For me, the favorite part was definitely getting the data live and seeing essentially what your brain is doing. Hardest part was just making the app stable, so whenever you're connecting to a Muse device or using an Android app that's showing data in real time, there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong, and making sure that it survives through that is very tricky. There was this paper that we were basing it on, but there was also 3 or 4 others that we were reading in advance to try to lock down what the most useful thing was, what could be done on a phone, and what would actually give usable results. So the way we went about building this app, by having the entire testing protocol on the phone that let us sort of utilize the timing factor. So when we were displaying stimuli of cues to users, we could then record the data that's coming in around those times. So when you start the app, you connect your device to it. We wait to make sure that the connection is stable. And once you have a live connection with data coming in, we get the alpha and beta signals from the Muse device. We record these while we're showing you each of the tasks for the specific time period. We collect up the data, and then at the end we visualize these the ERPs after each of the cues. And then give you a total aggregate data where the average suppression for the interesting points in time.
We chose this because the Android phone is quite widely used, and it's normally everyone has a phone, and that's why we chose to have a implement the app on the Android phone.
There's a paper from Mazahera in 2014, which was looking at the different subtypes of ADHD. So like the more inattentive subtype or the inattentive and hyperactive subtype. And they found that they could classify between those two and like non-ADHD patients through the flanker test task. And so this is something where you're given direction to tap by a stimulus in the middle of the screen which says left or right or don't tap. But there's also things on the side that sort of distract you from that. And these are the flankers, which is how I get it. And so we essentially took the protocol that they were testing in that paper and implemented it on a phone. So there's a bunch of stimuli they give, which is like arrows pointing to the left and right, and it's all just simple text that we show over time. And then while we're doing these displays to a user, we can track both their EEG signal for the alpha and beta channels, but also their tap like accuracy and reaction time. By giving 30 of these, we have a lot of epochs where we can see how the alpha and beta channels are changing compared to a baseline of just before the trial. And then by the end of it, we can show the results of here's how the suppression goes. Here's your average reaction time, average accuracy.
So the user interface for our app starts off with the initial screen, which gives two options to the user. First one is go through a flanker test. The other one is viewing the past result. Now moving on to the flanker test option, the app starts off with the screen, which is a time period for the user to wait for the Muse headset to connect with the app. Once they're connected, it goes through the flanker task. So the flanker task will start off with the cue stage. In this stage, the color of the cue gives a probable indication of the side which the arrows would point to. And then once they pass this screen, it goes to the actual arrows. Now the user are instructed to tap on the side which the middle arrow points to. While that is being completed, the app will record the beta and alpha suppression via the Muse headset. And so this trial is completed for 30 rounds, and then eventually you'll go to the result page, which shows the average alpha and beta suppression of the user. After going to the result page, the user can also go back to previous trials which they've done.
Cool, so I'll be turning on the Muse device, launching our app. And once it's mostly connected, we can begin the test that I'll be running. It's now scanning for the device, just waiting for it to connect. You turn the phone sideways so you can tap on the left or the right of the screen easily. Right now it's in the connection phase. Once it has a device, we show the connection indicators for each of the 4 channels. You can wait until these go bright green. Okay, now that's connected, we can begin. Get the Cool, and once you have the results, there's the history of the past, which you can go back and do.
Have you been doing well?
It's been changing quite a bit recently. But overall, it's not too bad. Yeah, and then when you look at them, you get the accuracy, the reaction time, and then the epochs that were for each trial, plus the average one, so you can sort of see where you're going up or down.
Mint!